Hollywood may shine, but behind the red carpets lies a darker script, one filled with forbidden love power and secrets buried for decades. From presidents seducing interns to legends hiding their true desires, these stories were never meant to be told. Tonight we rip the mask off fame itself and expose the secret affairs that rewrote Hollywood history. Because under all that glamour, the truth was always scandal. Number 1, John F. Kennedy, the president's forbidden secret. He was the golden boy of American politics, handsome, charming, and untouchable. To the world, John F. Kennedy was the symbol of hope and power. But behind the polished grin and presidential prestige hid a secret that would remain buried for decades. In 1962, a 19-year-old intern named Mimi Alford entered the White House with wide eyes and innocent dreams. What awaited her was not history, but seduction. At first, it felt like a fantasy: private tours of the West Wing, intimate moments, and soft-spoken compliments from the president himself. But soon Kennedy's charisma turned into quiet control. In her memoir, Once Upon a Secret, Mimi revealed that she lost her virginity to JFK in his private quarters, an encounter she never truly consented to, yet couldn't refuse. "I felt special," she wrote, "but I also felt trapped." For over 45 years, Mimi kept the affair a secret, bound by fear and shame. When the truth finally surfaced in 2003, the myth of Camelot cracked. America's most beloved leader had seduced a teenage girl in the halls of power. Behind the televised charm was a man who blurred the line between passion and abuse, using the Oval Office as both a stage and a sanctuary. Kennedy remains a hero in the eyes of history, the face of youth vision and promise. But his relationship with Mimi Alford exposed the darkness that even legends can't escape. It's a haunting reminder that behind every smile carved in marble lies a story the world was never meant to hear. Number 2, Anthony Perkins, the secret life of Hollywood's psycho. He terrified the world as Norman Bates in Psycho, but Anthony Perkins's real horror was never on screen. Beneath the shy smile and quiet voice was a man forced to live two lives. In 1950s, Hollywood being gay meant losing everything: your career, your fans, your future. So Perkins built a mask the world adored, while hiding a truth that could destroy him. Behind closed doors, Perkins found forbidden love with fellow actor Tab Hunter, another rising heartthrob trapped in the same lie. They met at the legendary Chateau Marmont, a haven for Hollywood secrets. Together they laughed, dreamed, and loved in silence, always watching the door, always afraid someone might see. When the studio discovered their affair, executives ordered Hunter to end it. "A public person could not go public," one partner later said, and they were right. Still, love fought back. They defied the rules, meeting in secret, until Hollywood's cruel machinery tore them apart. When Perkins accepted a film role that had been offered to Hunter, their fragile bond shattered. Two men who could have been free were instead broken by fear, ambition, and a system that punished honesty. Perkins died of AIDS in 1992, never publicly admitting who he truly was. His wife, actress Barry Berenson, tragically died in the 9/11 attacks, two lives consumed by different kinds of tragedy. Only after his death did the truth emerge. Behind Hollywood's perfect gentleman was a man who spent a lifetime pretending. Fame made him immortal, but silence made him a ghost. Number 3. Kim Novak, the forbidden love that Hollywood tried to erase. In the glossy world of 1950s Hollywood, Kim Novak was perfection, the icy blonde every studio wanted. But off-screen, she fell for someone the industry would never accept: Sammy Davis Jr., the black entertainer who could sing, dance, and command any stage he walked on. Their connection was instant, magnetic, and completely forbidden. In 1957, America was still deep in segregation. Interracial love wasn't just taboo, it was dangerous. When studio heads learned of their affair, they panicked. Executives warned Novak that if she didn't end it, her career would vanish overnight. Davis was followed, threatened, even told by mobsters to walk away or else. Hollywood's golden era suddenly looked like a cage made of prejudice. Their love turned into a secret mission. Late-night meetings, hidden letters, cars waiting with engines running. For a while, they believed love could outsmart hate, but the world was not ready. Under pressure, Sammy Davis Jr. was forced into a fake marriage arranged by the studio, designed to protect both stars from scandal. Decades later, Novak confessed that the relationship was real, raw, and unforgettable. It was dangerous, she said, but it was love. In that one sentence lived the truth about old Hollywood, a world that sold romance on screen but punished it in real life. Novak and Davis dared to love in a time when love itself was an act of rebellion. Number 4. Gene Roddenberry, The Dark Side of the Final Frontier. He preached peace, equality, and progress to millions of fans through Star Trek. But behind the cameras, creator Gene Roddenberry was living a very different kind of story, one filled with passion, manipulation, and power. While he sold the dream of a utopian galaxy, he was quietly bending the rules of his own world. Actress Nichelle Nichols, who made history as Lieutenant Uhura, revealed years later that she and Roddenberry had been secret lovers even while he was still married. At the same time, he was seeing another actress on the show, Majel Barrett, who would later become his wife. The man who wrote about unity was secretly caught in a love triangle that would have scandalized 1960s Hollywood. According to former colleagues, Roddenberry used charm and authority to blur professional lines. Assistants described him as a manipulative man who controlled women with his power. While he championed diversity and gender equality on screen, off-screen, his behavior told another story, one where fame and desire ruled stronger than ethics. To Nichelle Nichols, he was still incredible, a man of vision who saw something special in her. To others, he was proof that even geniuses can hide behind the ideals they create. Star Trek promised to boldly go where no one had gone before, but Roddenberry's real mission was one of secrecy, power, and forbidden desire. Number 5. Joan Rivers, The One-Night Bounce That Broke a Legendary Bond. She was the unstoppable force of comedy, sharp as glass, fearless as fire. Joan Rivers didn't just tell jokes, she cut through Hollywood's fake smiles like a diamond blade. Her wit could make kings laugh and queens cry. And the man who first saw her brilliance was Johnny Carson, the godfather of late-night TV. One night on The Tonight Show, Carson told her, "You're going to be a star." That moment changed her life and later shattered it. For nearly 2 decades, she stood by his side, a loyal guest, the woman who could make America laugh past midnight. But when Fox offered her a show of her own, Rivers didn't see it as betrayal, she saw it as evolution. She called Johnny to share the news, expecting congratulations. Instead, the phone went silent. He hung up. He never spoke to her again. The man who once called her family had suddenly turned her into an enemy. Then came the bombshell. Years later, Rivers joked or maybe confessed that she and Carson had shared a one-night bounce. The world laughed, then gasped. Was it humor or a hidden truth wrapped in comedy? Some insiders whispered that it explained everything: the rage, the heartbreak, the betrayal, too personal to forgive. Maybe Carson's silence wasn't professional. Maybe it was emotional. But Rivers refused to die in the shadow of any man. She rebuilt herself from ashes, hosting red carpets, reality shows, and stand-up specials that burned brighter than ever. Every punchline was a scar turned into sparkle. "Comedy," she once said, "is how I survive tragedy." And she proved it every night with every laugh. When Joan Rivers finally left the stage for good, she had outlived the men who tried to silence her. The woman Johnny Carson once dismissed as too much became a legend by being exactly that. In the end, she didn't just get the last laugh, she made it eternal. Number 6, Paul Newman, the perfect husband with a hidden shadow. He was Hollywood's golden man, blue eyes, good heart, and a love story that seemed unbreakable. To the world, Paul Newman wasn't just a movie star. He was proof that loyalty still existed in an industry built on temptation. For 50 years, he and Joanne Woodward were the couple everyone envied, a real-life romance that felt like a fairy tale in a town of illusions. But even the brightest legends cast long shadows. In 2009, a year after Newman's death, the perfect image began to crack. A biography titled Paul Newman, A Life revealed whispers of an affair, a secret romance with journalist Nancy Bacon. They had met in 1968 during an interview, and what began as witty banter soon turned into something deeper. According to the book, their relationship lasted more than a year filled with guilt, passion, and a man torn between duty and desire. Newman always denied the claims, insisting that Joanne was his best friend, lover, and life. But Bacon told a different story, one Hollywood insiders quietly called the worst-kept secret in town. She described him as charming, yet restless a man who needed excitement beyond the script of domestic bliss. It wasn't a scandal he wore proudly, but a secret he carried quietly, proof that even saints have cracks. The revelation shook fans and even devastated Newman's own children, who had idolized their father's image of perfection. For them, it was the cruel reminder that heroes are human and humans fail. But rather than destroying his legacy, the truth only made him more real. Newman's imperfections became part of his legend, the flaw that made his humanity shine brighter. Behind those famous blue eyes was a man constantly wrestling with himself, between the man the world saw and the one he really was. He gave millions to charity, built a marriage that endured, and left behind a legacy of both brilliance and contradiction. Because sometimes, even the perfect husband hides a love story the world was never meant to know. Number 7. Gregory Peck. When on-screen passion became real. He was the definition of a gentleman, calm, noble, and devastatingly handsome. Gregory Peck wasn't just a Hollywood actor. He was the kind of man America wanted its sons to be. In 1945, he stood opposite the radiant Ingrid Bergman in Alfred Hitchcock's Spellbound, a film charged with mystery, desire, and psychological tension. But somewhere between action and cut, the fiction melted into reality. Peck was married to his first wife, Greta, a quiet and loyal woman who had supported him long before fame. But Bergman was something else, magnetic, intelligent, intoxicating. Working side by side for weeks, their chemistry became undeniable. The camera captured what the world thought was acting, but behind those glances and trembling hands was something far too real. Hollywood didn't see two performers. It saw two souls falling in love where they shouldn't. Years later, long after the film and the affair had ended, Peck confessed the truth. "I had a real love for her," he told People magazine. "She was like a lovely Swedish rose." There was no scandal, no anger in his words, just the quiet ache of a man remembering something beautiful and doomed. Bergman never denied it. She didn't have to. Their eyes had already told the story. Peck stayed married for another decade before eventually remarrying, while Bergman's own career would later be rocked by her affair with Italian director Roberto Rossellini. Both stars knew the price of following their hearts in a world that demanded perfection. They lived their lives under the blinding spotlight where love was both a gift and a weapon. In the end, Gregory Peck's secret wasn't a sin, but a confession of humanity. Behind the perfect lines, the poised smile, and the gentleman's charm, he was just a man capable of passion, weakness, and regret. Their love began on celluloid, but it left a scar on the heart that no camera could ever erase. Number 8. Farrah Fawcett. Love, legacy, and the war after death. She was the face of the 1970s golden hair, dazzling smile, and a poster that defined a generation. Farrah Fawcett wasn't just a star. She was an icon of beauty and freedom. To the world, her great love was actor Ryan O'Neal, her on-again, off-again partner for 3 decades. But behind that public romance hid another man, another story, one that would only surface after her death. That man was Greg Lott, her college sweetheart from the University of Texas. They reconnected in 1998, decades after fame had swallowed her whole. Away from cameras, Lott said they shared quiet moments, letters, and a love that felt untouched by Hollywood. "We were blind crazy in love," he told the Daily Mail. "Farrah was my best friend and the love of my life. But when she was dying of cancer in 2009, Lott claimed Ryan O'Neal shut him out, refusing to let him say goodbye." After Farrah's death, the headlines turned darker. Her trust fund left behind a fortune, including a $30 million Andy Warhol portrait of her, donated to the University of Texas, not to O'Neal. The actor contested the will, saying she wanted him to keep the painting, while Lott fought to honor her written wishes. What began as love ended as a courtroom battle over money, pride, and memory. O'Neal denied Lott's story, but even his own son, Griffin O'Neal, sided with the other man, saying Lott had given Farrah the affection she deserved. The bitter dispute over her art and legacy became the final chapter of a life that had already been torn between love and fame. Hollywood's angel was gone, but the chaos she left behind was pure Hollywood drama, beautiful, tragic, and painfully human. In the end, Farrah Fawcett's story wasn't just about glamour. It was about the price of being loved by too many and understood by too few. Even in death, she remained caught but between 2 men, 2 worlds, and 2 versions of the truth. Her beauty was immortal. Her heart still divided. Number 9. Robin Gibb, the secret lover and the child he left behind. He was 1/3 of the legendary Bee Gees, the angelic voice behind How Deep Is Your Love and Stayin' Alive. To the public, Robin Gibb was the quiet brother, soulful, spiritual, and deeply devoted to his wife, Dwina. But when the music stopped, another story played on in the shadows, one of betrayal, secrecy, and the family he tried to keep off the record. After Robin's death in 2012, the perfect harmony of the Bee Gees cracked. It was revealed that he had fathered a daughter, Snow, with his housekeeper, Claire Yang, a secret affair that had lasted years. In his will, Robin left her a house worth nearly 800,000 wons and a generous sum of money, shocking fans who had believed he was the loyal husband. The tabloids went wild, and the fairy tale family image dissolved overnight. His son, Robin John, publicly denied the rumors, claiming Claire had never slept with my father. But Dwina, the wife who had endured it all, confirmed the affair. "The strength of our relationship," she said, "was that no matter what happened, we always came back to each other." Her words were equal parts forgiveness and heartbreak, the quiet confession of a woman who had lived with the music and the silence. Even in death, the drama didn't fade. Reports said Dwina banned Claire from attending the funeral, refusing to let the other woman stand by the coffin. The tabloids called it scandal. The family called it closure. The man who sang about love's eternal power had left behind a house divided by jealousy, by inheritance, by grief. Robin Gibb's story is a haunting reminder that fame can write beautiful songs and messy lives. Behind every melody was a man chasing harmony in music, in love, and in a legacy that would never sound quite the same again. The world remembers his voice, but only a few knew the pain behind it. Number 10, Heath Ledger, The Secret, the Starlet, and the Death That Haunts Hollywood. He was young, magnetic, and unstoppable, the kind of talent that only comes once in a generation. Heath Ledger wasn't just an actor, he was a force of nature. From Brokeback Mountain to The Dark Knight, his performances burned with intensity, too bright, too fast. But behind the genius was a restless spirit and a secret that few knew until after he was gone. In late 2007, Heath was quietly seeing Mary-Kate Olsen, the former child star turned fashion mogul. Their relationship was private, playful, and messy, two young millionaires trying to escape the cameras that never stopped following them. Friends said they shared long nights, wild parties, and a bond built on both creativity and chaos. To the world, they were an unlikely match. To each other, they were escape. Then came January 22, 2008. Ledger was found unconscious in his New York apartment, surrounded by prescription pills. But what shocked the world wasn't just his death. It was what happened next. Instead of calling 911, his masseuse called Mary-Kate Olsen, who was across the country in Los Angeles. Olsen sent her private security team to the apartment before help arrived. By the time paramedics were called, it was too late. The strange chain of events sparked endless speculation. Why call Olsen first? What did she know? Investigators questioned her, but she refused to testify without immunity. Rumors of drugs, depression, and secret struggles flooded the tabloids. For years, the truth remained tangled between fact and mystery, just like the relationship that preceded it. Heath Ledger's death became one of Hollywood's most haunting tragedies. A young man lost at the height of brilliance, a love buried under questions that will never be answered. The Joker may have made him immortal, but the story behind his final days remains Hollywood's darkest riddle, where fame, love, and loneliness all collided in one quiet room. Number 11. Paul Walker, The Age Gap Scandal. Hollywood chose to ignore. He was the golden boy of action movies, blue-eyed, humble, and effortlessly cool. Paul Walker wasn't just the heart of Fast and Furious. He was Hollywood's symbol of purity, the kind of star everyone loved to love. But behind the easy smile and ocean blue calm hid a story the industry never wanted to confront, a relationship that blurred the line between love and legality. When Walker died in a fiery car crash in 2013, fans mourned the hero, the humanitarian, the man who lived fast and died young. But soon after, shocking details emerged about his long-term girlfriend, Jasmine Pilchard Gosnell. She was 23 when he died, but she had met Walker 7 years earlier when she was only 16 and he was 33. In California, that meant she was still legally a child. The math alone made the world uncomfortable. Walker had always been private about his love life, but those who knew him said the two had lived together for years. Friends described their romance as genuine, while critics called it predatory. The age gap wasn't just big, it was moral quicksand. Yet Hollywood stayed silent. No headlines, no outrage, no accountability, only admiration for a man who died too soon. Adding to the unease were whispers that Jasmine wasn't the first underage girl Walker had dated. Reports linked him to Aubriana Atwell, another woman who met him as a teen. The media brushed it aside, preferring the legend to the truth. The more heroic the story became, the more the uncomfortable facts faded away, buried beneath grief and nostalgia. Paul Walker's death was tragic, but his life story remains complicated. He was loved by millions, but he left behind questions that no tribute could erase. The same world that worshipped him also chose to look away. Because in Hollywood, morality bends easily. especially when the sinner looks like a saint. Number 12. Alan Bates, The Silent Love and the Tragedy at the End. He was the perfect English gentleman, elegant, articulate, and effortlessly magnetic. Alan Bates was one of Britain's most respected actors, a man who lit up the screen in Women in Love and The Go-Between. But beyond the applause and acclaim, he lived a life of secrecy, torn between who he was and what the world allowed him to be. Bates was bisexual, a truth he never publicly acknowledged. In a time when such honesty could destroy a career, he chose silence. His lovers included Olympic skater John Curry and actor Ian Charleson, both men who also hid their true selves behind fame and dignity. Hollywood called them gentlemen. History would later call them survivors of repression. In his final years, as the curtain slowly fell, Bates found comfort in actress Joanna Pettit, a woman who had once been his lover decades earlier. When cancer came for him in 2003, she was the one who stayed caring for him, reading to him, keeping him company when the applause had faded. Their rekindled romance wasn't about passion, it was about peace. Two old souls finding solace in the quiet after the storm. After his death, the truth emerged in a whisper. Bates had left Joanna £95,000 in his will, a final gesture of love from a man who had spent his life hiding affection. "It was very touching," she said softly. "He did everything he could to make sure I'd be looked after." Her words revealed what fame never could, that behind the performances was a heart still capable of tenderness, even in pain. Alan Bates's story isn't one of scandal, but of silence, of a man who gave the world his art and kept his heart locked away. His final act was not on stage but in kindness, and when he took his last bow, the applause he earned wasn't for his fame but for the grace with which he loved in secret. Number 13. Richard Pryor, the final twist that shattered Hollywood's taboos. He was the wildest man in comedy, raw, brilliant, and unfiltered. Richard Pryor built his fame on brutal honesty, turning pain into punchlines and chaos into laughter. No topic was off limits, no truth too dangerous. But decades after his death, the world discovered one truth even he never dared to joke about: a secret affair with Hollywood's ultimate icon, Marlon Brando. The revelation came in 2018 when legendary producer Quincy Jones casually spilled it in an interview. Brando would sleep with anything he said. James Baldwin, Marvin Gaye, Richard Pryor. The world froze. Was it real or just another Hollywood myth? Then came Pryor's widow, Jennifer Lee, confirming it all with a smirk. "It was the 70s, she laughed. If you did enough cocaine, you'd sleep with a radiator and send it flowers in the morning." It was shocking, hilarious, and liberating all at once. Two men, both legends, both known for breaking boundaries, had shared a connection that defied every norm of their time. In an era when same-sex love was still labeled insanity, Pryor and Brando lived like rebels chasing experience without apology. Their affair wasn't about labels, it was about freedom. For Pryor, the revelation only deepened his legacy. It reframed his comedy, the rage, the vulnerability, the raw humanity, as the voice of a man who refused to be boxed in by race, class, or desire. For Brando, it was another chapter in a life already overflowing with contradictions, the leading man who loved without limits. The story stunned the world, but it also set it free. It reminded everyone that genius and rebellion often come from the same fire. Richard Pryor's last punchline wasn't a joke, it was a revolution. He left this world laughing, crying, and questioning everything we thought we knew about love, fame, and the fragile walls that separate them. Number 14. Marilyn Monroe, the goddess who became a warning. She was the ultimate fantasy, the golden girl of Hollywood, who turned vulnerability into power. Marilyn Monroe shone brighter than anyone before her, adored by the world, yet crushed by its weight. Behind the laughter and red lipstick was Norma Jean, a lonely soul, craving love in a world that only desired her image. Her rumored affairs with John F. Kennedy and Robert Kennedy blurred the line between passion and politics, turning a starlet into a dangerous secret in the halls of power. On August 5, 1962, she was found lifeless, a phone in her handpills on her nightstand, and questions that never stopped echoing. Was it suicide, despair, or something darker? Hollywood called her a tragedy, but she was really a mirror reflecting the price of beauty, power, and silence. Marilyn Monroe didn't just die. She was consumed by the dream she embodied. Her story remains a warning in the city of angels. Even goddesses can be sacrificed for fame.